Welcome to the first live stream on the new DrumChannel website. We're really excited to present this to you today. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome. If you'd like to take advantage of some of our website-only features, you can check it out at beta.drumchannel.com/live. We're really excited to just unleash this new product. We've been working on it for a really long time. We've done a lot of updates to some of our most requested features, as well as giving a new face and spin on everything that we've been doing before. So if you are new to DrumChannel, I encourage you to check out the calendar. Obviously today we're going to do a live lesson, but we have all sorts of things being posted all week long, and I really look forward to you guys taking advantage of that. So before I get started, if you're on Facebook, I want you to enter your questions into the Facebook live chat. If you're on the website, there's a chat box to your right, which is this side. I want you to open that up, join the public chat room, and send your questions in there. Elias is going to be going through them, and he's going to be sending them to me throughout the live lesson so we can answer any questions or concerns you might have. So tonight, we're going to be talking about using rudiments in your music, not just on your drum set. And it sounds kind of like a weird, funny title, but I think it's important that we don't practice our rudiments or play our rudiments in a vacuum. So often we sit and work out patterns, or maybe we just sit on a practice pad, which is great, and you should absolutely be doing that, but you need to apply it in a musical context, because that's why we practice anything, is to be able to apply it in a musical context. Okay, so if you're on the new site, I want you to click the exercise tab right below the video player. You'll see lesson details, exercises, and download. If you want to download it, print it out, go ahead and do that. If you just want to look at it in the browser, you can click the exercise tabs and you'll see this lovely bit of sheet music notation right here. And we're going to go through 4 rudiments that I'm sure we've all practiced on a pad. And we're going to put them in some musical context on the kit, okay? So the first one is a favorite of mine. One hopefully we all learned. Maybe the first roll rudiment you learned after the long roll. It's called the 5-stroke roll, okay? For a quick refresher, for all of you, a 5-stroke roll is 2 double strokes and a release. Or if you're playing an inverted 5-stroke roll, it's a tap and then 2 double strokes. Okay? So real quick, if you look at number 1 on your sheet or in the exercises, the 5-stroke roll goes thusly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so that's our 5-stroke roll in the normal pattern. If you were to invert that, so we're going to have 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Okay? So the way we're going to apply this is in a swing context today. And I think it works so well in any triplet-based groove, really. But where I can see this being applied musically is if you're playing some sort of big band figure that is on all the upbeats, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you can use it in a really musical context playing it in triplets. So here's the 5-stroke roll in triplets. Okay, we're going to play downbeat, and then we're going to play the upbeat inversion of it, okay? 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita. So if we're playing swing, the swing pattern, for those of you who don't know, is ride cymbal with your right hand, left foot on 2 and 4. But more importantly, I want you to listen to how we're going to use the 5-stroke roll in this. I'm going to play it, and then we'll break it down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so all those hits were on the upbeats. 1 T-ta, 2 T-ta, 3 T-ta, 4 T-ta. And they were all 5-stroke rolls. You're going to get some voicing variation around the set by using a 5-stroke roll, and you're going to get a nice kind of fill-in between each hit without overpowering, the rest of the band. So the important parts are those upbeats. 1 T-ta, 2 T-ta, 3 T-ta, 4 T-ta, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 T-ta, 2 T-ta, 3 T-ta, 4 T-ta. And just with a little bit of voicing, we've created something that's musically appropriate using a rudiment. That's all we used was a 5-stroke roll in that, okay? And it's the first of a lot of fun to come with this. So if we're looking at the 5-stroke roll, keeping in the same context, we're going to do the same thing similar with a paradiddle-diddle, okay? Paradiddle-diddle, we're going to do on the upbeat of the triplet, but it's going to just have a little bit more motion to it than the 5-stroke roll. We're adding one note to it. Okay, so it's going to be 1 T. And the last one we will just hit on the upbeat. Okay, so make sure you're looking at the second line of your download. If you're confused, it's right on the third line of your download, example number 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. That variation is actually something I learned from Joe Percaro, who's one of the instructors here on DrumChannel. He has a whole artist track. He has 2 artist tracks with Ralph Humphrey, who's another one of our great DrumChannel teachers here on reading music. And we were filming the How to Read Music artist track, and we were kind of sitting watching one of the video playbacks, and he was just kind of showing me this paradiddle pattern in a swing context. At the time, I was still in college, playing in big band, and it was kind of cool to just sit with him and have him show me different ways of applying this rudiment. So I wanted to make sure I share that one in honor of Joe, who's one of my favorite teachers and drummers. Make sure you check that out. So real quick, before we go farther into this, I want to talk about ways, if you're not comfortable practicing your rudiments, there's a tool on the new site that's very, very important and very dear to my heart because I spent a lot of hours helping make it and working on it, and it's called our DrumChannel Practice Assistant Metronome. And you can get to it from the education menu. You'll see Metronome there, and you'll be able to use it. But what it does is it forces you to play your tempos consistently and then have a consistent increase in each tempo. So it gives you a good 15-minute block, and I'm very passionate about being able to practice at least 15 minutes a day. I think everyone can find 15 minutes a day, if nothing else. But you find 15 minutes a day, and you get really good, structured 5-minute chunks of a rudiment. And you're working on your muscle memory and your speed development. So for the 5-stroke roll, you could do this. You could even practice it in the drum set way we've been doing it, or you can just practice it in triplets. If you can do that, or you can play the 2-bar loop that we have on line number 2 of the download. So I highly encourage you, if you're not a DrumChannel subscriber, please become a subscriber. Take advantage of that great learning tool. It really has helped me, at least personally, and that method has been used by some of the most legendary and hallowed teachers of our craft. So we're going to move on now. We're going to stay with the paradiddle-diddle, and this is our last swing example of the day. And I've heard plenty of drummers do this. I've heard Tony Williams play this. I've heard Gary Novak play this. We're going to use the paradiddle-diddle to play a swing pattern. So the paradiddle-diddle starts on beat 2, okay? And we're not doing this for the sake of doing it. It actually adds a really nice comping pattern where you're filling in all the triplets. 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita. Paradiddle-diddle, 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 paradiddle-diddle. All right. This is something I have a lot of fun with, just trying to find ways to justify practicing something, right? So we're never trying to do things in a vacuum. That's really, really important. Please keep that in mind as you go through these. I'm sure you guys have awesome combinations and musical uses of your rudiments that I'm not talking about here. I really encourage you to send those in to us. If you're a subscriber, you can do it through artist feedback on the new site. You can just send it in for free. And we'll take a look at that, and I'd love to feature them in next week's lesson if you go ahead and send in variations of these exercises or your own, and we'll come back and talk about that a little bit at the end. All right, now this is one that I have a lot of fun with. Number 3, Mr. Paradiddle-flam. This one, I've had students say, why should I even learn the Paradiddle-flam? When will I ever play it? Well, fair question. If you're looking at it for the first time, you've only been playing maybe 6 months, that's a very good question. When would you ever need to be playing something as funky looking as Paradiddle-flam? So Paradiddle-flam, as written on your exercise sheet, is a flam on the downbeat and the upbeat, the last upbeat of their 16th note grouping. And I'll even admit, I was in the same camp for a long time. When do I need to use my Paradiddle-flam? Well, I was fortunate enough to get some lessons with Alex Acuna, who has 2 amazing artist courses on the site, Rudiments on congas and Authentic Latin Rhythms on the drum set. And we were kind of hanging out at his house, and he was talking about how he likes to put rudiments into different genres. And we touched on the Paradiddle-flam, and he mentioned how perfect it is for a samba. And then, as he played it, it occurred to me that is one of the most musical uses of a rudiment I had ever heard at the time, okay? So here's what we're going to do to kind of create like a bachata type samba with the Paradiddle-flam. Paradiddle-flam, excuse me. Getting all mixed up with my terminology. The samba foot pattern is written in your download here on the second bar of exercise 3. 1 and a 2. And a 3, and a 4, and a 1. So you can play this one slow, you can play it fast, you don't have to play it the whole time. It's a great hand workout, but you don't have to play it the whole time. This is another one that I spend a lot of time with our practice assistant Metronome, moving my tempos up consistently 5 minutes at a time. You start slow, you keep it there for a little while. You have to get comfortable with that motion of the paradiddle-flam, but we're taking the paradiddle-flam out of its little, flam, left, right, flam, flam, left, right, flam, and we're putting it in a musical context, okay? And this one was a revelation to me, because this is actually the one that kind of inspired me to do this lesson, was the paradiddle-flam, okay? So paradiddle-flam, really fun rudiment. One of my favorites. It's a really good one to be for hand dexterity anyways. So one way you can practice that is if you isolate your hand. Remember, your left hand will be doing a downstroke, while your right hand has to do a release, outside release motion to get the downbeat. Okay, it's a really, really good rudiment that will benefit all your other rudiments, honestly, and it will benefit your touch on the cymbals and on different parts of the kit as it is. Okay, and before we go any further, if you're just joining us, if you joined us late, or maybe you had to get home from work, hopefully no one's running from these fires in Southern California trying to get home. But the new website you can be watching this at if you're on Facebook is beta.drumchannel.com/live. And that's where you're going to get a lot more website features of our player, and you're going to get the download and the exercises we're talking about, which you won't get on Facebook, okay? So, but if you want to stay on Facebook, no problem. I just encourage you to come check out the site, sign up, and browse some of the great content we have. And with that being said, to continue in this theme of rudiments that sometimes we practice in a vacuum, I was talking with Elias, who's part of our team here now. He's a new team member. If you're just watching this for the first time, or if you haven't seen a live lesson here in a while, we have a couple new team members, Antoine and Elias and Richie, who are excellent team members. And we were kind of talking about this lesson beforehand. And Elias was talking about how paradiddles are something we have a lot of lessons on, but sometimes they can be, and by paradiddle lessons are everywhere. They're on YouTube. You can find them on different Facebook pages. But I see a lot of the same lessons on paradiddles, and I kind of wanted to change it up and get away from the linear funk. And I'm guilty of it too. I know I've done a lesson on linear funk with paradiddles, which is still a good thing to learn. But these are different applications of paradiddles that are still just as musical and not as often talked about. So the first one, let's just review our paradiddle. Okay, let's review all 4 inversions of the paradiddle. Here's number 1. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Inversion number 2. Right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left. 3. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, 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 left. Number 4. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Okay? And you can interchange these to make a lot of cool patterns, but one that I was thinking about today was, if you've ever heard the song My Hero by the Foo Fighters, which I'm not going to sing because I don't want to be sued, but if you've ever heard that song, it's got an awesome tom groove that kind of follows a paradiddle cadence in my one, da, 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 paradiddle, da, 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 da. So let's try to emulate that using our rudiments without, let me back up a little bit. This tom groove, you can play tom, like kind of a My Hero tom groove in a couple ways. One of them is taking your hand from here, putting on your low tom. So we're going to add a 1-bar fill using our paradiddle, and it's on your sheet. It's the last one at the bottom of your first page. It's the second bar of exercise 4, or example 4. And we're going to just play paradiddles, but we're going to voice it a little bit different to add some variation to that feel that we're getting from the low tom, okay? And 2 E, 3 E, and a 4 E, and a. All right, so you can change it up. You don't have to play the same paradiddle every time, but it does give you a little bit of variation in the feel, and it adds a little bit of contrast to your ear, so that when you're listening to it, your phrase will sound longer. And that is a very musical thing to do as a drummer and to develop as a musician. It's being able to extend your phrases so that you don't sound like a drum loop. That's very important, I feel, and I have friends who, friends like Kurt Pescara, who is a very good example of not sounding like a drum loop. If he has to, he can. But he's very good at extending his phrases musically so that instead of hearing 1 bar over and over, you're hearing 2 bars, or maybe you're hearing 4 bars. You're hearing the cycle come around less often. And that will help the listener be able to pull away from that pattern a little bit and be able to absorb more of the music. And it adds more contrast and dynamics to their ears, okay? And that's just an important concept to be aware of as a musician and as a drummer. You want to be extending your phrases when appropriate. I mean, you don't always want to do that. But it's a skill that's important to be able to do, regardless of whether your music requires it or not. So that little paradiddle figure is, I'm just playing straight paradiddles, and I know I miffed it a couple times. But the idea is I'm going to play straight paradiddles for 1 bar. And I'm playing it every 4th bar of the phrase. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, 3. All right, so now we've taken our paradiddle out of the vacuum and we put it in kind of like a big, heavy, sort of tom-driven rock feel. Now let's do something completely different with the paradiddle. Go ahead and turn to your second page or look at the next exercise, which is brushes. And I bet you didn't think you were going to be playing brushes today. But you're going to, and if you're not comfortable with brushes, just go ahead and search through our archives. We have tons of brush lessons. From beginner. Greg Bissonette has an excellent artist course on just introduction to using brushes, as well as a lesson. And you can kind of get used to pulling those sounds out of the drum. But in any case, we're going to play some brushes today, and we're going to play some paradiddles on brushes. Woo! Okay, here we go. So with our brushes, we're going to play kind of a, maybe like a slower, more folksy rock feel. And it's going to sound a little bit weird without a band. But I have played this countless times, and it's always the same hand pattern that I go to. Okay, so we're going to be mixing in 2 different 2. See, just like that, 1, 2. We're going to be mixing in 2 different paradiddle patterns. We're going to do the first version of like the regular single paradiddle and the second inversion, which is right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. We're going to be using that second half, the left hand. Okay? So slowly it's going to be paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Now the reason I like this voicing, and I'm going to do it up a little faster and in context, but the reason I like this voicing is because it adds a little decrescendo every time you hit a backbeat with your left hand. 2, right. I really like the kind of lope that this gives the beat, and you could play just alternating single strokes to play that beat, but it doesn't have the same musical feel, and it doesn't add the same kind of dynamics that using these paradiddle patterns, which is why we learn our gosh darn paradiddles, is so that we can give ourselves options, voicing patterns, voicing options, dynamics. You can give your playing shape and not just notes, okay? So we're getting a couple different dynamic levels from the paradiddle. All right, so, and maybe you don't play a whole lot of brushes, but this is a good way to kill two birds with one stone. Get a brush groove under your belt. It's a much softer dynamic. Obviously, it's a much softer dynamic. You're not going to get the same volume out of the drums, and you're also going to require a slightly different touch on the drums with your paradiddles. So grab that practice assistant metronome, put it on 90, take your brushes on your snare drum, probably not your practice pad, and try to work on getting the brush feel correct. All right. So taking everything we've done with paradiddles, I would be remiss if I didn't play this last one, which is a favorite groove of mine that involves kind of all 4 paradiddle variations. And we're going to also include a little bit of open hi-hat. We're going to cheat, and not everything's going to be a rudiment. But this is definitely based around your inverted paradiddle, not your straight paradiddle. Okay? So I'm going to play it once, and then we're going to break it down. Or we're going to take another look at it and the elements involved. All right, so we're going to use all of our paradiddles in here. There's a couple different slight improvisations that we're doing to make it a little different. But, you know, we're getting a lot of paradiddle variation in there, and I think it adds a lot of musicality to this feel. It's got kind of like almost like a hip-hoppy funk feel to it. But we've got the open hi-hat, and then we have a whole mess of inverted paradiddles. And by being able to go in between all of your inversions, you can create a lot of really, really cool voicings between, in this case, between your hi-hat and your snare. Okay, so if you look at the pattern, the second beat is our first inverted paradiddle, the third beat is our regular paradiddle, and then the fourth beat can either be the second inversion paradiddle or the first inversion paradiddle. And you kind of move between these and change your bass drum pattern to match each one to get a lot of bass variation. So again, you don't sound like a drum machine unless you have to, but you don't want to always sound like a drum machine by default. You want to be able to extend your phrases, okay? So these are all good exercises to practice, and there's many different ways to practice them. Find rudiments that you can apply musically to the drum set, and really take your drumming from a practice room vacuum and try to think musically when you do these things on the kit. It's really, 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 really important as drummers that we sound musical and support whatever we are playing with and who we're playing for, rather than just, I've been working on my 5-stroke roll, I've got it to 240,000 beats per minute, here it comes. You know, it's better to have some kind of context, and there's some clarity of purpose. There's a vocab phrase for you. The clarity of purpose, right? It's a clear reason why I'm playing each rudiment in each context that I'm using it, okay? So real quick, I just want to mention a couple more things before we're done tonight. We're going to have Kurt Biscara, studio drumming sensation, one of my best friends, and excellent joke teller. He's going to be here tomorrow night at the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. He's going to be doing a lesson on making it groove, and he's going to talk about some really cool studio grooves that he uses all the time that makes his phone ring. And he's also going to be taking your questions. He's going to be doing a little bit of Q&A with Don Lombardi, who's going to be sitting with him during the lesson. And it's really important that you check that out. We love to support our artists when they come out here and make them feel welcome when they're part of the DrumChannel family. If you're watching this right now, I'd like to thank you for being an honorary or permanent member of the DrumChannel family by, if you're just joining us for the first time on Facebook Live, check us out. Go to the new site, beta.drumchannel.com, okay? You're going to be able to learn all about the website, see all the lessons and amazing shows that we have on the site. We've got some really cool members-only features. A lot of those are available for you to you for free. When you sign up to the site. It's not going to cost you money to sign up for free on the new site, okay? And then for you subscribers, if you've been with us forever, we'd love to see you on the new site. You can just go ahead and log in the same way you always have and enjoy all the new features that we have to offer you. And we're so excited to be moving to this new era of DrumChannel. We've got a lot of great things planned for you. We're coming up towards the end of the year, and next year we're just so excited to bring it to you, and happy that we get to bring drumming education and our kind of culture that we promote here, which is drummers learning from each other, be it from lessons or shows or just sitting around and talking to some of the greatest drummers in the world. So check out the new site, beta.drumchannel.com, soon to be drumchannel.com. Go on the schedule, see everything we have coming up. And definitely join us tomorrow for Kurt Biscara. For now, I'm Adam, and thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.